I most definitely have an agenda. I don't do anything to piss off a little peon. You know what I mean?
I can't believe a stand-up dude doing his time would suddenly say, I don't want to be here no more. I'm gonna become a rat bastard. And I'm gonna have my girl tell on my mans and them.
We'll just let it be told when the story gets told. And I'm all gonna stick to the truth and keep it pushing.
Biggest boss, Ricky Rose. The time has come. Meech on February 13th. Get your tickets right now. It's going down. We know Florida gonna be there. Miami gonna be there. The legend himself gonna be
Ross and 50, they've had a long-standing beef for years. And I think this Rick Ross beef is the one beef that 50 will never let go of.
Hey, say you want about 50 Cent, but I swear this man's pettiness is uncanny. Like this, I feel it's everybody's alter ego.
I agree. It's unfortunate, right?
Yeah.
It really is, but I agree. So, we'll just let it be told when the story gets told.
Yeah.
And I'm all gonna stick to the truth and keep it pushing, right?
That's it. That's all.
The drama between Rick Ross and 50 Cent just took a shocking turn, and trust us, you won't believe the explosive accusations that are now surfacing. For years, these two rap titans have been throwing subtle, and not so subtle, shots at each other, but what's going down now? It's more than just beef. It's a scandal that could ruin careers and shatter friendships that were once thought to be unbreakable. In the latest twist, Rick Ross has come forward, calling out 50 Cent for allegedly trying to frame none other than the infamous Big Meech. Yes, you heard that right, menace 50 Cent, the very man who's been dominating headlines with his business empire, might have been trying to bring down Big Meech, a man whose legacy in the world of crime and hip-hop is legendary. But here's where it gets even crazier. Rick Ross isn't just accusing 50 Cent in passing. No, he's accusing him of something much darker, using his power to tarnish the reputation of Big Meech and ultimately trying to ruin his career. But why? What's behind this explosive feud, and what's the shocking truth that's been hidden from the public all this time? Stick around, because the story you're about to hear is far from over. If there's one thing that the hip-hop world is never short on, it's drama. And when it comes to 50 Cent and Rick Ross, their rivalry is one for the ages, full of jaw-dropping accusations, aggressive disses, and a battle for the title of King of the Streets. But the story of their beef isn't just about the music. It's about personal vendettas, brutal power plays, and a series of events that would leave anyone in the industry questioning what is real and what is fabricated. To understand the intense animosity between 50 Cent and Rick Ross, we need to rewind the clock and take a look at how this war of words began. It was never just about music. This feud dug deep into their pasts, their egos, and the very essence of who they were. It all started back in the mid-2000s when 50 Cent, having already solidified his place as one of the most influential figures in hip-hop, started looking for new targets to diminish. His reputation as a ruthless and controversial figure had grown even bigger, especially after he had won the rap battle with Ja Rule, dominating the airwaves and the charts. 50 Cent, also known as Curtis Jackson, wasn't just a rapper. He had transitioned into a media mogul with his own record label, G-Unit, and a growing list of business ventures. At this point, Rick Ross was still making his mark in the industry. His debut album, Port of Miami, had just dropped, and he was quickly gaining traction as one of the most promising names in the game. His larger-than-life persona, his deep voice, and his vivid storytelling resonated with fans who were hungry for that raw street sound. But the one thing that stood out most about Rick Ross was his claim to be a self-made hustler. A boss who came from the streets, built his empire, and didn't take orders from anyone. 50 Cent wasn't impressed. In fact, he saw Rick Ross as a threat to his own kingdom. The beef started when 50 Cent began making subtle jabs at Ross, mocking his image, his street credibility, and most famously, his past as a corrections officer. The bombshell hit in 2008, when 50 Cent dropped the first major attack. He revealed to the public that Rick Ross had once worked as a correctional officer. Now, this may not seem like a big deal, but in the world of hip-hop, where authenticity and street credibility are everything, this was a devastating blow. Rick Ross, whose entire persona was built around being a drug kingpin and a hard-nosed street hustler, had his credibility called into question. In one swift move, 50 Cent had exposed a part of Ross's past that Ross had tried to keep hidden, something that many of his fans were unaware of. The revelation sent shockwaves through the industry. Rick Ross's image was built on a foundation of being a gangster, a man who had risen from the streets to build an empire. Now, 50 Cent had shattered that illusion, and the streets began to ask, is Ross really who he says he is? The allegations were severe, and the fallout was fast and furious. But Rick Ross wasn't going to let this slide. In typical Rick Ross fashion, he fired back with the kind of intensity that only he could bring. Instead of shying away from the controversy, Ross took to the mic with even more fire. He addressed 50 Cent head-on in his music and interviews, calling him a snitch, a clown, and a fake who was only trying to tear him down because he was jealous of Ross's success. The feud was no longer just a few jabs. The two went back and forth for years. The diss tracks kept coming. Menace 50 Cent's Officer Ricky, mocked Rick Ross relentlessly, and Ross's Mafia music retaliated with equal venom. In these tracks, Ross didn't hold back. He accused 50 Cent of being a fraud, a liar, and someone who would stop at nothing to take down those who threatened his throne. Every track was like another chapter in an ongoing saga, and with each line, the rivalry grew more intense. But the war wasn't just limited to music. The feud spilled over into the business world, and things got personal. 50 Cent wasn't just content with tearing down Rick Ross's image. He went after his business, his brand, and his alliances. 50 Cent was known for using his social media platform to spread rumors, make accusations, and twist narratives to his advantage. He had the power to manipulate public opinion, and he wielded it like a weapon. Rick Ross was aware of this, but he didn't back down. Instead, he took a different approach. He decided to fight back by building his empire even bigger. Ross doubled down on his business ventures, launching his own label, Maybach Music Group, and signing artists like Whale, Meek Mill, and Vemplay. He turned the negative energy from his feud with 50 Cent into something productive, using it to fuel his own rise to the top. But as time went on, the rivalry between the two hip-hop heavyweights began to take on a new dimension. What once started as a personal beef about street credibility and business tactics now began to involve something much deeper and more dangerous: allegations, rumors, and connections that neither of them had fully anticipated. The public eye was fixated on the feud, and every word they exchanged, every diss track they dropped, became newsworthy. But even though they were at the center of the hip-hop world, neither of them fully understood the gravity of the situation. Their rivalry was no longer just about music or business, it was about something much darker. In 2025, the plot thickened. What seemed like an endless battle over ego and success suddenly took a strange turn. Rick Ross uncovered something that completely changed the nature of the feud. It wasn't just about the two of them anymore. There was a third party involved, someone Rick Ross held in high regard, someone who had built his empire just like he did. Big Meech, the notorious figure behind the Black Mafia family, BMF, was now caught up in the crossfire of this ongoing feud between 50 Cent and Rick Ross. The revelation that 50 Cent was allegedly trying to frame Big Meech was the tipping point. Ross couldn't sit back and let this happen. After everything he had fought for, he wasn't about to let 50 Cent destroy someone he respected. The stakes had never been higher, and it seemed that the drama was only just beginning. Hip-hop world had seen plenty of feuds before, but this was something different. Rick Ross had just uncovered what could be the most shocking twist in his long-standing war with 50 Cent. Allegations that 50 Cent had somehow been involved in trying to frame Big Meech, the legendary founder of the Black Mafia family, BMF, a man who had built an empire that stretched across the country. At first, the rumors were just whispers. Small conversations happening in the shadows of the industry among people who had ties to both 50 Cent and BMF. But then Rick Ross decided to bring it all to light. Rick Ross wasn't just another rapper. He had always admired and publicly supported Big Meech. In many ways, he saw himself as a street boss, someone who had built his own empire just like Meech had done before him. To Ross, Big Meech was a symbol of real power, real influence. So when he started hearing things that suggested that 50 Cent had played a role in keeping Big Meech behind bars, he knew he had to act. The industry was already aware that 50 Cent had once been linked to BMF, but the extent of his involvement had always been murky. Some said he was just capitalizing on Meech's legacy for his own gain, especially after launching the BMF series on Stars. Others whispered that he had deeper ties that went far beyond just using Meech's story for entertainment. But Rick Ross had a different story to tell, and this story, it could change everything. According to Ross, there were documents, official paperwork that allegedly connected 50 Cent to certain legal proceedings surrounding Big Meech. Ross didn't drop all the details at once, but he made sure people knew that he had receipts. In an explosive interview, Rick Ross looked straight into the camera and said, "Y'all ever wonder why 50 Cent been so obsessed with Big Meech's story? Why he so desperate to be tied to BMF? Let me tell you something. Some people don't tell street stories, they write the paperwork." At first, the rumors were just whispers. Small conversations happening in the shadows of the industry among people who had ties to both 50 Cent and BMF. But then Rick Ross decided to bring it all to light. Rick Ross wasn't just another rapper. He had always admired and publicly supported Big Meech. In many ways, he saw himself as a street boss, someone who had built his own empire just like Meech had done before him. To Ross, Big Meech was a symbol of real power, real influence. So when he started hearing things that suggested that 50 Cent had played a role in keeping Big Meech behind bars, he knew he had to act. The industry was already aware that 50 Cent had once been linked to BMF, but the extent of his involvement had always been murky. Some said he was just capitalizing on Meech's legacy for his own gain, especially after launching the BMF series on Stars. Others whispered that he had deeper ties that went far beyond just using Meech's story for entertainment. But Rick Ross had a different story to tell, and this story, it could change everything. According to Ross, there were documents, official paperwork that allegedly connected 50 Cent to certain legal proceedings surrounding Big Meech. Ross didn't drop all the details at once, but he made sure people knew that he had receipts. In an explosive interview, Rick Ross looked straight into the camera and said, "Y'all ever wonder why 50 Cent been so obsessed with Big Meech's story? Why he so desperate to be tied to BMF? Let me tell you something. Some people don't tell street stories, they write the paperwork." Boom. The internet exploded. Social media went into overdrive. Fans and industry insiders alike couldn't believe what they were hearing. Was Rick Ross really saying that 50 Cent had cooperated with authorities in a way that could have helped lock Big Meech up? It didn't take long for social media to erupt. Fans of both 50 Cent and Rick Ross immediately took sides. Twitter and Instagram were on fire. Ain't no way Ross just accused 50 of trying to snitch on Big Meech. This beef just went from rap to real life. If Ross got proof of this, it's OVR for 50. Ain't no coming back from that. This gotta be cap. 50 always been about street credibility. Ross reaching. We need Meech himself to confirm this. Somebody call Southwest T. It wasn't just fans getting involved. Several big names in the industry started weighing in. Rappers, podcasters, even former associates of BMF were chiming in. Some believed Ross. Others called it a desperate attempt to keep his name relevant. The one thing that was clear, 50 Cent wasn't about to stay silent. Just hours after Rick Ross's shocking claims, 50 Cent took to Instagram with his signature pettiness. He posted a picture of Ross's old correctional officer uniform, captioning it, "Y'all believe a cop? Officer Ricky's still trying to get attention, huh? Shouldn't he be writing parking tickets?" Classic 50 Cent, turning the tables, making the accusations seem ridiculous before they even had a chance to gain traction. But deep down, people knew that this time, things were different. As the drama continued to unfold, another BMF affiliate, one who had stayed quiet up until this point, decided it was time to break their silence. And what they revealed, it was even more shocking than anything Rick Ross had said so far. The internet was on fire. Rick Ross had just dropped one of the most explosive accusations in hip-hop history, and now 50 Cent's name was being dragged into the Big Meech case in a way that nobody saw coming. But just when people thought the drama couldn't get any bigger, something even wilder happened. A mysterious document started circulating online, an alleged FBI report that supposedly referenced a high-profile informant involved in the BMF investigation. And guess whose name fans started speculating about? Yep, 50 Cent. At first, people thought it was just internet gossip. There was no direct proof, just whispers on social media and a couple of screenshots that looked questionable at best. But then, a well-known hip-hop journalist, someone with deep connections in the industry, decided to speak on it. There's something real suspicious about how things went down with BMF, the journalist said during a live stream. And with Rick Ross calling out 50 Cent like this, I ain't saying it's facts, but I wouldn't ignore it either. Now, let's be real, the hip-hop world thrives on controversy. Rumors spread fast, and sometimes they're just that, rumors. But this time, even people who used to defend 50 Cent started raising eyebrows. Because Rick Ross wasn't just talking, he was applying pressure in a way that was hard to ignore. And when people dug deeper into the BMF case files, they found something interesting. While Big Meech and his crew were going down, there were certain names that never got touched. Certain industry figures who were close to the situation, but never faced any real consequences. And suddenly, the question wasn't just, is 50 Cent guilty? It became, how much does 50 Cent really know? Meanwhile, 50 Cent was in full-blown defense mode. He went on Instagram, posted a picture of himself laughing, and captioned it. These boys be making up stories like they writing scripts. But here's the thing, for someone who usually claps back immediately, 50 Cent wasn't saying much. And that silence, it made things even worse. Because Rick Ross wasn't done yet. Just a day later, he went on Drink Champs, the popular hip-hop podcast, and dropped another. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget, if you want real, uncut hip-hop news, you gotta stay locked in with us. Hit that like button to keep this conversation going. SUBSCRIB for more shocking updates on your favorite artists. Turn on those notifications, because trust me, this ain't the last twist in this crazy story. This is hip-hop history in the making, and you're right in the middle of it. So stay tuned, because the next update